Hello, thank you for tuning in to this week's section of reads. These readings are valid for whenever you come to them. This should be on the YouTube channel James 13 Wicca in case you're seeing it somewhere else. The dice and decks I'm using are listed below. Of course, if you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. And without further ado, let's get into your selection. Hello, Capricorn. Thank you very much for tuning in to this week's read. These readings are valid for whenever you come to them. With that being said, what do we have for Capricorn? I mean, I was feeling the stress when I was shuffling. Stress, it's about, like, what is actually here. I was also thinking, and I don't know if this, I kept thinking to myself, it's not about changes, it's not about being subject to changes, it's about seeing your opportunity within them. So it's kind of like, it can be difficult at times when it feels like, you know, everything is just being changed around you. It reminds me of being a kid where it's just kind of like, you might want to go outside and play with your friends, but they're like, your parents are like, nope, we're going here and we got to do this. And feeling like that's not fair, I don't have any choice in my own life, I'm kind of subject to who I'm dealing with. And sometimes, I would say more likely in jobs, it feels like that more likely in jobs or wherever you're dealing with this. There is some stress here where it feels like I'm subject to somebody else's changes, and that can be very, very upsetting. The thing is, I feel like also for Capricorn, if this type of situation is going on, there is like a place where you can be where this can be more in your control. It's more about getting ahead of it before it even gets there. Getting ahead of it before it even gets there? All right, we'll see. There's something, whatever this situation is, there's a lot of good with it, but there's something where I feel like I am very much subject to other people's whatever they're doing. I don't feel in control as much as I feel like I need to be. And there could be a very strong heart connection to this, a love connection in some respect. I'm thinking of a Capricorn I used to know that was very, very connected to their kids, and like it was one of the few times I saw a Capricorn would make a quick change for those they love. Like it was for their kids. This person would bend themselves into a pretzel. They were a Capricorn too, for their kids. Would they do that for everybody? No. Not everybody, but certain people they had a very big heart like that. Whatever this connection is, your heart is in it, which can be something like a business situation. It can be, especially if you have connections within that business. And I do feel like, I'm trying to be careful with this, but I do feel like you're being stepped on a little bit, which really makes me nervous with Capricorn, because usually Capricorn doesn't put up with that. And that, like, Capricorn doesn't tend to forget either. Capricorn remembers. So, it makes me nervous when people do that with Capricorn. Like, that's not going to hold weight after some time. Sooner or later, the balance will be paid. So, I'm nervous about if somebody is, you know, stepping on your boundaries a little bit, because in my opinion, Capricorn usually doesn't put up with it, and when they do, there's always a balance that will be paid at some point. Whatever the situation is, I do feel like you're keeping it under control, and you're like, all right, it's almost like going to dinner, and it's kind of like you have certain needs, certain wants, but then people make changes at the last moment. Maybe some people are canceling, or some people are being added in. Or it's like, instead of going here, we're going somewhere completely different, and it's kind of like throwing off your plans. It's kind of like, we were going to go down the street, which is 10 minutes away. Now they want to drive an hour away. This is going to take up a lot of time for me. I had other things planned for my night, and now this is changing everything of my night because we're driving so far away to do what we were going to do. I feel like you're keeping it under control and you're deciding what you will and will not be a part of. There's a strategic reason for this situation. I do feel like your heart is in it. I can't explain to you. Like, I have a bunch of Capricorns in my family, and it's just like, it's just never a good idea to mess with a Capricorn, it's never a good idea to walk over Capricorn's boundaries. It's just so, it's making me cringe. I'm thinking about the people in my family. I'm like, this is not a good idea. People should not do that with Capricorn. Well, they shouldn't do that anyway, obviously. But still, like, so whatever you're going along with, you have reasons for it. I've seen Capricorn do this in the sense of like, well, I need to keep an eye on this, or there's reasons. There are reasons. Capricorn doesn't do things just because it's Tuesday. Like, oh, why not? That's not a Capricorn thing. Capricorn will do things for reason. There's reasons Capricorn does things. So if you're going along with this, I have no doubt. And I keep getting, like, you got the Knight of Cups there, but you also got the King of Cups here, which don't get caught up in the gender. But there is a really strong heart connection for you with this. Whatever it is, it means a lot to you. It does. So if this reading is hitting, you're doing it for a very, very important reason to you. And you're holding the line, but it is creating stress. And it's making me really nervous here. Capricorn just doesn't put up with this. It makes me nervous. The stress is building, and I do feel like it's starting to become an issue. So it's like, how can we get ahead of this? Instead of being subject to the changes, how do we get more ahead of them so we can manage them differently? Because again, if people are just changing things and you don't seem to have any control over it, it's got a shelf life. The heads up on this, the Oracle card is saying, we need to get ahead of this. We need to kind of say something now, because it's kind of like the energy is going to build. I don't know what the actual term is, but I think of it as emotional banking. I don't know what you actually would call it. Anybody who's a therapist or stuff like that, but it's kind of like, maybe it is emotional banking. I don't know where that term came from, but it's what I've always thought of it. Kind of like, things are going on, there's feelings, and if those feelings aren't being expressed, it's like building something. It's building something, and some people are like that, and I feel like I am one of those people that, like, it builds, and then all of a sudden it's like, time to cash out. Time to cash out. Whoosh. So they're saying it's coming. You already have some things banked here. It's better to deal with it now rather than later. Capricorn is very strong. You can't tell me. I don't know of any Capricorns that aren't strong. Personally, I don't. So, just saying, you got a lot of energy behind you. And they're kind of advising, like, maybe we should start bringing forward certain conversations now rather than later, because the energy is building. It is building. What is this? Yep, because there's another motion coming forward later. A motion where you're supposed to be more in control. Oh. This is a good thing. It is a good thing. But again, from what I know of Capricorn, you're going to have feelings. And when your turn comes to play the ruler, you may not even be like thinking you're going to do it, but like, the balance will be paid. At some point, the balance will be paid. If we can bring this forward sooner rather than later, we can balance it out now, and it doesn't have to be a problem later, because your moment will come, and there's this moment where it's kind of like, you know what? I guess I'm in the control seat now. I guess maybe, if I'm wrong, I feel like you guys are going to tell me, but like, if your boundaries are stepped on for a good period of time, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and you'd be like, hey, maybe it's time for them to feel how I felt. It may come forward. There might be some resentment that comes out of this. They're trying to help you get ahead of that before that actually becomes an issue, because whatever this is, it means a lot to you. If we can get ahead of it and you realize that your day is coming where you're going to have the control moment, and it's coming, it is coming. There's slowing it down. They're slowing it down in two different directions. Okay. The Knight of Wands is kind of like, all right, I'm the one in control now. Let's I brought this up a couple times. I feel like if this goes well, hopefully you've brought this up a couple times. Now, since I'm in control, it's like you're driving the bus. We're going to go as fast as I want to go for one. But also, we're going to talk about this while I have a captive audience. Be careful. Be aware. I don't know. I know a few different Capricorn. There's a lot of them in my family, I'm telling you. And I've met enough. Your words have weight. I almost feel like, because I've talked to a few that don't realize how strong their voice comes across. And I have had a couple conversations with Capricorns where they just were like, I was just saying that. I didn't mean it that way. Whatever that means. Like you can come across with a lot of presence. And I feel like you want to make a point, but you're not looking to create damage. That's the thing here. And pulling it back and getting people to talk and telling them how you've been feeling. Hopefully if it's been going the whole way along, like start today. Let people know what you're thinking, how you're feeling. Even if it's just a little bit. Let them know that, you're not quite cool with what's going on here. Start the conversations. That way when your moment of control comes in, you can kind of pull it back and kind of like, how I brought this up before, and how I brought that up before, and I think we need to kind of think about boundaries. Like, you have boundaries, but so don't I. You don't like that, well, and I don't like this. So where's our happy medium here? This actually can go very well with the Lover's card. It can go very well. A big piece of this, I keep feeling like a big piece of this is not feeling like I'm at the mercy of somebody else's changes. That I feel more in control and I have more of a say over the changes that are happening. And getting my voice out there and kind of like, my moment is coming. And when you need me, instead of this just like me getting even with you, because there could be, I feel like there will be resentment. I just feel like there will be. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And but getting ahead of it, we can talk it out. We can make this balance in a better way. I don't know. Once in a while, I feel like I need to say this. There are no good signs and there are no bad signs. There's the energy, and that's how you're using and how you're adapting with your own energy and the other energies around you. So, because like I see a lot of people on there where they don't like this sign, or this sign's the best sign, or whatever. That's not real. There is no good sign. There is no bad sign. There's no best sign. There's no worst sign. There's the energy and how you're adapting and working through it. You have a lot of great attributes. If I can, you have a lot of great attributes. Those attributes can go in a good way or they can go in a negative way. One thing is, Capricorns hold the line. They hold the line, which can be a great thing if we're going in a great direction, but it can be a very damaging thing if we're going in a bad direction. It's the same energy, it's just where you're taking it and where it's working for you. This is a moment that can go very well for you. And it's kind of like having that energy under control, having that energy work to your benefit and not against you. I'm not a Capricorn, I'm a Pisces. So like for me, I can be extremely creative. A positive way is me creating a lot of beautiful things in my life. A negative way is being stuck in my head and living in fantasy. So it's kind of like I got to balance the two. You know what I mean? It's like the energy, not a bad thing. It's very creative, but it's like staying in reality, creating something that makes sense with this attribute that I have versus just being caught up in my head and just like getting lost in stories and stuff like that where nothing productive happens. So like I'm just using Pisces as an example just to like pull the energy away from Capricorn, because it's like all signs have a certain energy. Is it going in a good way? Is it going in a not so good way? There is no good sign. There is no bad sign. There is just what you're doing with the energy. The metal person here. What do I want to call it? The metal person. It says king, but I'm going to call them the person. Is that the Ace of Pentacles, please? The 2. Oh. One choice is better than the other. And there's work that's involved with this. If you're on point with this, one choice is better than the other, and there is going to be a bit of work. Capricorn doesn't usually have a problem with work that makes sense, in my opinion. Work that's going to actually lead to reward. Okay. Work just to work? No. I'm getting this energy where it's coming forward very strongly. On the other end of this, it's not just like one talk and we're good. there's maintenance to this situation. There's kind of saying, hey, you're kind of going across the boundaries, or even kind of keeping yourself in check. Kind of like, hey, is everything good on your side? Because I'm okay here. How are you doing? Because we don't want this to get out of balance on the other side either. Being proactive with that is really, I feel like this is where Capricorn can really thrive. If you get into that pattern where it's like, okay, I'm feeling really good, but I need to make sure the other side is feeling really good too, because I know, you know, sooner or later, if that side's out of balance, we're going to have a problem. I don't want a problem. I'm enjoying this. So let me touch base with that side, make sure everything's awesome and good over there too. And if not, what adjustments do we need to make? Because we can't just keep going along pretending everything is good just because I'm happy, because sooner or later it will break. We can't be doing that. I feel like this is where Capricorn thrives. You see the honest part of it. You see how, like, hey, if it was me on that side, I would probably take it for a little while, but sooner or later there would be a debt to be paid. So that's what they're saying with this maintenance. Get the talks in there, keep the talks going. Just when, even though you're going to be happy, hopefully, in this situation going forward, keep touching base with whoever you're dealing with. Make sure they are too, because that's how this stays in balance. That's how we get longevity out of this. And I feel like this is somewhere where Capricorn excels, because it feels like that's a concept that makes complete sense to you. And that's where we're looking to get this to go. For this to evolve, to come out of this more stressful area, going into a more communicative area, and then balancing out better down the road and continuing and holding that balance where it needs to stay. I think we're done. All right. I'm going to shut this down here. Hope that helps. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below. Same email. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day.